Have you ever gone mountain climbing with a complete psychopath that harbored a secret vendetta? I agreed to go climbing for the first time in my life with my boss, Martin. We made a bet to see who could climb up the mountain the fastest. Everyone at work was taking bets. Neither of us had ever gone climbing before. The bet was, whoever reached the top first would win 25 grand and 2 extra weeks vacation from work. Martin was the boss and made these awesome rules up. We hiked 3 miles to the base of this massive rock. It looked really steep and had overhangs. Martin was a cocky guy and always had to try and one-up me. Another climber looked at us and said, "Are you guys sure you want to take that route up? It's the hardest part of the mountain." Martin cut him off and said, "Speak for yourself, dickwad. We'll be fine." I wondered, will we? We started climbing. All of our fellow employees were watching from the base of the mountain and rooting us on. The race began, and within about 30 seconds, I realized that Martin lied. He had climbed many times before and sped up the mountain like it was nothing for him. I realized that I had been totally duped. I had climbed up about 50 feet, then called up to him while he stood on top. "You're such a liar. You've climbed before." He said, "Yep, I sure have. But that's not why I brought you up here." I asked, "Okay, why did you bring me up here?" He said, "I want to teach you a lesson about history and how it never forgets and always comes back around." None of our employees could hear us from down below, and I started to get nervous. "What do you mean it never forgets?" He said, "Do you think you'll make it all the way up?" I was struggling to find a spot to dig into. Thankful I had the rope that I could rest and dangle on if I needed to. I said, "Yeah, I was." He said, "I figured." Then he took out a knife and started slicing through my rope. "What the hell are you doing?" I quickly gripped onto the mountain wall and barely got a hold of a crevice before my rope literally fell past me and went way down to the bottom. I was horrified. "Why did you do that? I could fall." He laughed and said, "I know, but before you do, I want you to know that I've been looking forward to this moment since I was 12 years old." That made no sense to me since I've only known this guy for a year. He continued, "The look on your face that you have now, knowing you're about to suffer, seeing it firsthand, this is glorious." I was completely confused. "How about you tell me why you're doing this?" He smirked and said, "Nah, I'd rather just see you squirm and struggle than drop to your death." I was obviously well beyond petrified. I started squirming around the rock for better placement, but was struggling badly. He watched me and said, "Just let go. You're a dead man." He took out his cell phone and started filming me as if this whole thing was pure entertainment. I was 40 feet up on the rock, and my hands were starting to slip, and my fingers and forearms were burning from the pump. Nothing in my body was used to this. I figured in case I do fall, it's better to go down to make that fall a bit shorter. So I started climbing down. About 20 seconds later, my anxiety and fear took over. I was struggling, and I thought my hand was in a crevice, and it wasn't. I slipped. A complete free fall. The ground seemed so far away. My life flashed before my eyes. Climbers at the bottom gasped and looked up horrified. I was falling and falling. A million thoughts thundered through my head. Was this my demise? For some crazy reason with my boss that I know nothing about? One of the instructors at the bottom happened to have a crash pad. By some miracle, he happened to be down there holding it, and at the very last split second, he tossed it under me to catch my fall. If he hadn't, I was a dead man. Martin rappelled down and saw that I had survived. He acted like nothing had happened and tried to lie about it. Our coworkers looked on, confused and scared. Words escaped me, so I tackled him into the rock wall and punched him so hard that I broke his nose and knocked out his front tooth with one blow. He looked at me, shocked and bloodied. I proceeded to beat the living hell out of this man so badly that he had to be airlifted to the nearest hospital, even with my coworkers trying to stop me. When the cops questioned me about what happened, I told them the truth. They ended up arresting him once he recovered. Then I found out that Martin's dad was put into prison by my dad 24 years ago. His dad died in prison. My dad went on to become a well-known lawyer.